I know that the title of this video may sound like a bit of an exaggeration, but at this point I don't have any other explanation for why the city of Philadelphia continues to implement policies that puts both pedestrians and cyclists at risk. Now, before I go into further details, I wanted to discuss what prompted this video in the first place. On the evening of July 17th, Dr. Barbara Friedez, an oncology resident at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, was traveling on her bike down Spruce Street when she was struck and killed by a drunk driver going nearly 60 miles an hour. This is an area where the speed limit is 25 miles an hour and there's stop signs at every intersection. There's also lots of families, businesses, just foot traffic in general. There's no reason anybody should be going 60 miles an hour here. The only thing in this area protecting the bike lane from vehicles are these little plastic flexi posts, which don't do anything other than maybe make some noise if you hit them. They're not a safety measure at all. Had there been other infrastructure in place, perhaps we wouldn't have lost a doctor with a promising future ahead of her. On the same evening, 2 pedestrians were also hit by vehicles in the city. In the aftermath of this, Philly Bike Action organized a protest where they rode hundreds of cyclists through the city and ended at City Hall to demand change. One of the main changes that they wanted to implement was the installation of concrete bollards. One of the other complaints from the protest was that the city, specifically Cheryl Parker, the mayor, had put in policies to cut Vision Zero from $15 million to $9 million. Vision Zero is a policy that was initially started in Sweden and aims to decrease pedestrian and cyclist deaths. Now, after this budget was cut, the mayor did pat herself on the back for getting cameras installed on Broad Street, so I guess we can always watch people die on camera because that's really going to save their lives. Additionally, in the area where Dr. Barbara Friedez was struck, she has a representative named Kenyatta Johnson. Kenyatta Johnson also fought against implementing safety policies for Washington Avenue, a high traffic strode, if you will, in the city of Philadelphia that has seen its fair share of fatalities. I went to this protest and I spoke with one of the organizers of the event and interviewed her, as well as another cyclist who rides his bike for a living. Here are those interviews. So I'm with Jessie from Philly Bike Action. She's one of the organizers of this event. Can you tell me why we're out here today?
We're out here because Philadelphia, every year, over 100 people are killed by cars in the city. Just last week, there was multiple fatal crashes, one of which was a cyclist she was biking in a bike lane in Center City and was hit from behind by a car that was driving in the bike lane at 57 miles an hour, and it killed her. And there was another person that same night that was killed on the sidewalk, standing on the sidewalk, and a car hit and killed him on a sidewalk. It's like so prolific in this city, and I think people are really tired of it. And so we're out here doing a protest ride where we can call more attention, continue putting pressure on our elected officials to install concrete protection on our bike lanes and on our sidewalks and the kinds of things that are going to keep cars going slow. Not even slow, going the speed limit, going at a safe speed in these residential parts of our city, so that everybody who leaves their house, no matter how they choose to get around, gets home alive.
Right, and you mentioned some of the politicians, 2 notable ones. This happened in Councilmember Johnson's district,
yeah.
And one of the other things that, within the last few years, there was a safety measure that was proposed for Washington Avenue. He was opposed to that. Mayor Parker she cut the funding for Vision Zero, which is a safety program. Do you think that the politicians are actually opposed to it, or do you think they have some other reasoning for why they would be opposed to increasing safety?
Politicians feel like certain things, like parking, are like a sacred cow, and that you don't even want to go near it with a 10-foot pole. And there is sort of a misconception about how increasing things like safety, walkability, bikeability, are somehow going to disrupt the status quo, and some people are going to complain. And what's been the story so far is that some voices are very loud and they complain very loud. And then the issues that, the simple solutions, put some concrete bollards that you actually just can't drive over, up, never really get the attention that they deserve, because the rest of us, we're just out here on the street trying to not get hit by cars, but we're not putting in the same level of effort to contact our elected officials to prove that there's hundreds, just tonight, hundreds of people here to turn up for this, but this issue affects every single person in Philadelphia. You can't talk to anybody who isn't like, oh my God, it's crazy out on the streets. Like, people are sick of it. It's gotten worse over the last couple of years. People want it to change, and I think that the elected officials are going to have to reckon with the fact that everybody, whether they ride a bike or they drive their car, is over the chaos that we're seeing on our streets, and we're looking for real, concrete solutions to that problem.
And do you think that there's not being enough done from the police departments to actually enforce a lot of the laws that are currently in place, like, obviously not parking in bike lanes and other areas?
At Philly Bike Action, we believe that if you build a road that more or less forces, or I don't like to use the word force, I think it encourages safe behavior, right? Like, if you see a road where there's a curb and you're like, okay, I should go 25 miles an hour because that's what this road allows. If you build roads where people natively use it in a safe way because that's how it's designed to be used, you don't need to enforce stuff. You don't need to get the police involved. It shouldn't have to be an enforcement issue if we just made a much better financial investment in just making long-lasting, permanent, safe, concrete infrastructure that is designed to make people use it safely.
And also, what would you say to some of the people who don't bike? And I've heard multiple complaints from drivers, like bicyclists are oftentimes not safe. Either they're hopping up on the sidewalk, obviously because bike lanes are blocked,
yeah.
But they're going through stop signs, red lights. What would you say to those?
I think the important thing to realize is that there's like a hierarchy of vulnerability. People who are walking, they're moving slower than someone who's on a bicycle, and a person on a bicycle is so small and soft and squishy compared to a 2-ton car. I think, like, if you are a driver wielding a 2-ton deadly vehicle, you hold the most responsibility for following the rules and being safe, and that just trickles down the line. And I think that there's just so much chaos on the road now that it just really feels like a free-for-all. And I think that if we started building roads that forced, again, with that word forced, I gotta find a better word for that. But if you
encourage,
that encourages people to use the roads in a sensible, social way that isn't going to endanger people unnecessarily. Actually, there are studies that prove that when streets have safer infrastructure like bike lanes, bikers are more likely to use it. There's less misuse. People don't go the wrong way or ride on sidewalks. Like, the better and safer the street design is, the less people misuse it or do unsafe activities. So I get it. I don't like it when there's chaos on the streets, but we need to build streets that can be used without thought. Like, it'll make reckless driving or reckless usage impossible.
And touching on that, so Mayor Parker, for instance, has brought back people who are remote workers. They brought government employees back in the office. Obviously, that's a bigger strain on the public transportation. Obviously there's going to be more drivers and there's going to be a lot more traffic, and SEPTA's already strained as it is. There's not enough employees. Does Philly Bike Action do anything to maybe encourage or advocate against bringing people back in the office, or improving public transportation for people who don't want to bike? Or?
Yeah, so we collaborate regularly with an urbanist group in Philadelphia called Fifth Square, and they do a lot of advocacy around increasing funding for public transportation, and which is really important for a functioning and thriving city. Whether you don't have to be a biker to appreciate public transportation, and so that's a lot of overlap in our ethos, and just making sure that anybody in Philadelphia who wants to get around the city in a way that is not in a car, that they have safety and available service. You should be able to choose that as an option, and it should be available and affordable and efficient. And so we definitely advocate for that, and we collaborate with groups in Philadelphia who are focusing on those issues.
Awesome. Well, I do appreciate it. If somebody wanted to get involved with Philly Bike Action, what's the best way?
Yeah, so you can check us out. Our website is bikeaction.org, and we are on Instagram primarily just to follow our stories, PHL Bike Action. We have events, many events all of the time. We have a monthly citywide meeting. We have monthly city council district level meetings where we do direct action organizing. We have happy happy hours, we have bike rides, we do bike lane cleanups and neighborhood cleanups. We're busy bees, and
Awesome.
so there's lots of ways to get involved.
Excellent. Well, I certainly thank you for taking the time to
Great.
talk with me. Do you care if I put a link for your petition in?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you. What was your name?
I'm Joe.
Joe?
Joe Cox.
Joe Cox. Nice to meet you, Joe. So. All right.
Typical
I'm typical Philly.
Yeah.
So I'm here with Joe. What brings you out here today, Joe?
We need safer streets. We need actual Vision Zero, and I would like real justice. But the chant was pain is not protection. We need concrete now. We want safer bike lanes in Philadelphia after what happened last week to Dr. Barbara.
And you mentioned that you deliver food and you're
Trying to send me a job just now.
Oh, nice. So I don't want to hold you up. You can
You're
go
good.
over here.
I took off to this was important.
So you're on your bike a lot. Do you have a lot of close encounters?
Probably a lot of days over 10 people try to kill me.
Okay.
This is today. Yeah. And that's missing at least 5 miles from forgetting to turn it back on. Yeah. Do food delivery full time. I've been.
This is your livelihood.
It is.
You
It's
got-
really scary.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work, and it's my only transportation. It's seems to be getting worse out here. The pandemic made it worse, but lately it seems to be getting worse, like more so again. Yeah, I can't tell you like how many people try to kill me every day, and most drivers don't know basic laws, and they don't care, and the cops don't really seem to do much.
And so do you think that there needs to be better enforcement from the police
Yeah.
for traffic laws? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, more cameras the better, less cops, but people need to be getting in trouble when they put somebody in danger. Essentially, it's not crazy.
And you said that that it seems to be getting worse, and there's a lot of, for instance, angry drivers. Do you think a lot of that is like an intentional anger from drivers towards bicyclists, or do you think it's just them being oblivious and not, they're texting on their phone or
It's
not? Both.
It's definitely there's a mix. Like I joke, like who am I gonna like? Who's gonna set me off? Is it gonna be the person that tries to hit, turns into me and throws their hands up? They don't realize like what they did wrong, or is it the person that's like literally like speeding at me trying to like hit? Both are very, very annoying. The person like so many people people think that we have to be in a bike lane. They don't know basic laws. They don't know 4-foot law and the door law. 2 most important laws. One of my biggest fears is being doored.
Yeah.
The door fly, people don't watch when they open the doors. The door flies out, you can die.
Yeah.
Is
I
it,
had that almost happen to me today.
Yeah, it's very scary. Like, but drivers don't. You're lucky if they give you a foot. It's scary out here the way they treat cyclists, and we don't have the infrastructure we should. I actually ran for city council.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Do you plan on running again?
Not sure.
Okay.
But I ran in the 2019 election, and this was one of the biggest reasons I ran. Between how bad our streets are, and I've got the sign on the front. This is my nonprofit. I go around giving out pizza to people that are hungry.
Okay.
So between the streets not being safe and people being hungry and not having their basic needs met, these are the reasons why I ran.
Okay.
But,
What's the name of your nonprofit?
the PMA bike ride.
PMA bike ride. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. It's actually tomorrow. I'm giving out 35 pizzas tomorrow.
Cool.
I get a pizza tattoo every time I give out 1,000 pizzas.
That is awesome. Is there anything else you'd want to say to anybody watching?
Look out for other people that are on the road. The road is everybody's. We are legally allowed to be on the road.
Additionally, not only did Cheryl Parker also implement these policies where she cut the budget to Vision Zero by nearly half, But she also implemented a policy where she brought all the city employees back to work back to the office when they were previously working from home. Now, the public transportation in the city is already just a disaster. There aren't enough employees, and it's pretty much unreliable a lot of the times. So by bringing more people in, she has increased the stress on the public transportation system. She's increased the number of drivers. She's increased traffic overall. These are all policies that weren't necessary and have only put more people at risk. Personally, I both bike and drive in the city, and I see irresponsible behavior from people all the time. When I'm biking, I see lots of people who decide to park in the bike lane, which causes cyclists to have to go into the road and they put themselves at risk. I also see drivers who are constantly texting on their phone and they swerve out of their lane, or they just run stop signs. They don't seem to care. As a cyclist, or as a driver, I've also seen plenty of cyclists who do stupid things as well. They run stop signs, they go on sidewalks, they go the wrong way. Big difference is that a cyclist going through a stop sign and hitting a minivan isn't going to take out a family of 5. At the end of the day, people just want to be able to travel safely. They want to get from A to B without being harmed. And proper infrastructure and policies will allow that to happen. If you build infrastructure that's going to encourage cycling or pedestrians, you're going to lower traffic fatalities. The City of Philadelphia continues to not implement these policies. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit the Philly Bike Action. They have a petition up. I'm also going to put a link to Kenyatta Johnson's phone number so you can call the office, as well as Mayor Cheryl Parker. Feel free to give them a call and express your concerns. That's all for now. Take care. Take care of each other.